Hello, everyone. Welcome to Elevating Your Life. Oh, gosh, this is going to be fantastic today. I am so happy to share with you Regina Oswald. She is the founder of the Body Mind Harmony Method, author of Liberation from the Diet Prison, and a speaker helping women end the quiet war with their bodies and build a relationship rooted in trust, respect, and self worth. Her body mind harmony method helps women move from body control to body trust through sustainable nutrition, mindset work, and emotional healing. After spending decades trapped in cycles of dieting and body shame, Regina transformed her own relationship with food and self worth into a journey that became the foundation of her work. She combines evidence based nutrition, mindset coaching, and emotional healing, informed healthcare industry background, and Harvard Medical School executive education in wellness design. In 2023, she mastered a Harvard University course in well-being and nutrition. She is also certified as a coach by the International Coaching Federation. Oh, and welcome, my awesome friend. So happy to have you here today.
Thank you so much, Paula. It is absolute honor to be your guest. And let's start.
I
I'm so
love it.
excited to be here.
Oh, well, first off, what prompted you to go this direction in life and to write your amazing,
Mhm.
amazing book?
Well, to liberate myself from a diet prison, there was a point in my life where I put myself in a diet prison, and it was in such an early childhood, in my teenagerhood to be exact, where through direct or indirect messages, I learned that my body is being evaluated. And I grew up in a family with a lot of overweight people, and I looked at their struggles with health, with emotional well being, and I said, I will do everything possible not to be like them. And if I only reinforce my willpower and my discipline, and through diets, I can reach that where my body will never be out of shape. And that was the biggest misconception that I put in a very young mind, that my cortex was not fully developed to discern what's right, what's wrong. I just inherited it. And it also gave me the illusion of control because at the age of 2.5, my father left us. And, as a young kid, I made conclusion that he left me, right? As a kids
Yeah.
do. So that diet and that control that I kept for 30 years gave me the illusion of safety, that there is something that I can control. And then in my 20s and 30s, life was so, challenging. It was an immigration. I came to this country by myself I was born in Soviet Union, and I was raised in Soviet Union. And then when I was in middle school, Soviet Union fall apart. I was born in 1978, and then Soviet Union fall apart. And then it became independent Uzbekistan. And, that our family decided to immigrate because it became a little bit unsafe to remain there. And we decided to immigrate. And I was the first one who came to this country at the age of 22. So life was happening so fast. Was working, getting my career, getting my second bachelor degree here in America, and, adapting to a new life, new culture, new everything pretty much, right? And then I found myself pregnant with my child. So, and it was my first pregnancy at 29. And I knew that I would be single parent, but I said that's the gift and I will have it. So, and that was happening until almost 35, where basically I had to provide, I had to, just brace myself and go through life. And it was not a time, like, many times people ask, like, why do intelligent women struggle being on diets and everything? I was intelligent. I am still intelligent, but life is happening so fast and you become reactive and you do what is familiar. And those things, those surviving mechanisms that you develop, you continue using the same language. I love this metaphor about the using the language, because when I came to this country, I had to change the language to be understood and to understand, right? So the same way we have to find the language that our body understands. And the diets and control is not the language that our body understands or welcomes, right?
Really? Oh my goodness.
I mean, it's just like, our body gets into the stress mode when we are harsh, when we are judgmental, when we are unhappy, when we are criticizing, right? So we have to change it. And that's what I realized when I turned about 45, 46 years old. Through my diets, I put myself into early menopause. I'm in full menopause by the age of 48. I started losing my hair. I developed compulsive overeating. I got iron deficiency anemia, and those were all the um, the results of malnourishment that I put my body through the
Mhm.
years, basically ignoring my needs and malnourishing myself, right? So I basically realized that I cannot go the same way. Something has to change. And then another revelation came to me that if God created this body, God did not mean me to be on diets. There's
Oh,
no diet written. And I remember one morning, and it's this is in my book also. I was walking and I was having dialogue with God. And I was so, that was a point where like I got to that, like, point of frustration, of pain, of, you know, uncertainty what to do, because that's what familiar to me. And it's very hard to let control go, because that's what you did for so many years. So I was talking to God, and I basically started almost crying. I said, "Show me the way, help me, please help me." I'm like, I do not know what to do. And then few steps later on the side of the road, I saw a message. I saw a part of a greeting card that said, "I love you."
message. I love the messages.
And yeah, I collect those messages. And then that was a message from universe, from God, that you are loved. You do not have to fix yourself to be worthy.
Yes.
And that was the biggest thing. And I remember when I was in school and my cousin gave me this beautiful card, and it depicted beautiful butterfly, and it said, who you are, it's a God's gift to you. Who you become, it's your gift to God. And somehow I focus so much on the second part of the sentence, that I have to improve myself. That's my gift to God. I have to improve myself. I have to become more aware. I have to become, slimmer. I have to. I completely disregarded the first part of the message. And it hit me just a few days ago that this message, the first part is what you are, it's a God's gift to you.
Oh,
But we completely disregard it. And no matter, honestly, no matter what we do, it will never be even close to what God's gift to us,
yeah.
our life, right?
Yes.
We
Yes.
can continue doing it, but only from love, from respect to the God's gift to our life. And when this hits me, it just kind of like was like a light bulb. And I'm like, Regina, what are you doing? You're bullying the body that was wonderfully and fearfully made.
Yes.
And that brought me to the road of learning and studying nutrition, working with psychologists, with coaches, becoming coach. And then I created the program. Well, when I liberated myself first, because first you put oxygen mask on yourself. And then I created this program. That program helped a lot of women. And then I said it will help even more women if I put it in a book. In fact, now it helps even men too, because I mean, primarily the purpose was because we talk about outfits and we talk about different areas of, something that would be more relevant to women. But now actually men give me compliment about my book that I'm very happy. But that's what brought me to writing a book, Liberation from a Diet Prison.
I love it. I love it. And I love in the book that after every chapter, we can reflect, we can write. And something I thought was very interesting was you shared about the difference between emotional and physical hunger. Share that with us, please.
Mhm. Our body always talks to us. And it's our job to understand the language. It's like going back to the language to understand yourself. Because if every time we get the signal, we interpret it as physical hunger and give ourselves a cake, we may get some joy from it, but down the road, it will translate into extra pounds. We cannot suppress those signals, and that's what some medications do. It basically suppress those signals because our body gives us signal, and it's almost the same thing as giving a signal that we need to use restroom, and we completely ignore it, right? That's a
Mhm.
physical, that's our physical need. So our body has physical needs that we have to address with nourishment, not with diets, with nourishment. And as you know, in nutrition, there is a certain, and I use Harvard plate because it's a most balanced, way of eating. It's like half of your plate is fiber, and then quarter of your plate is complex carbs, and quarter of your plate is protein, depending on what type of protein you want, what type of complex carbs you want, and what type of fiber you want. And then you add a little bit of fat according to what you use as your protein, because if it's a steak, let's say, it already has a lot of fats. So, but that's the balance, that's how balanced meal look like. And then you go into, okay, if I give my body balanced meal, I supposed to be satiated for like 3-4 hours. If in 2 hours I get again signal, I ask myself, was my meal balanced? If my meal was balanced and I still want to eat something, then we go, maybe it's not a physical, maybe it's emotional.
Oh,
What
wow.
else can satisfy that? And then we start talking instead of, I always say, like, watch your language. Like we tell our kids, right? Watch your language. Watch your language. If you end up eating box of chocolate candies, okay, and you tell yourself, you dirty pig, what did you do? Right? That will put your body in a stress mode because you are judging, you know, versus, okay, we did that. What did it give you?
Mhm.
What else could give you the same thing, the same sense of comfort, the same sense of stress relief? Then our body softens up and our body talks back to us. So through my book, through those 9 weeks, we basically, with compassion, with love, we change little by little our habits, and we start watching our language that we use talking to ourselves.
Yes, because I would think that it can happen that you're, on a diet, I'm gonna do this, and then you go off track and you just beat yourself up for that.
Mhm.
and stress yourself and, but what you can do is move on. So someone that might have a problem with that, what would you say to them, Regina?
Mhm. Well, I don't want to say stop dieting. Let's start with every time, and this is in week one, every time you go for food, you ask yourself, is it physical hunger? Is it emotional hunger? You just basically pause and ask yourself. You don't react immediately. I love, love, love that quote of Viktor Frankl where it says between stimulus and response, there is a space. And in that space, our freedom lives, right? So in that space, if we think about the outcome and we put it into that space, what outcome I want, but we need to slow down before reaching for the food. And that's what I invite people to do. Slow down, think, feel, talk to yourselves. So that's one thing. Secondly, let's start not with eliminating something from your plate. Let's start with adding fiber to your plate. And it could be anything. It could be greens, it could be vegetables, it could be whatever you like. I love mushrooms, whatever you like, whatever you tolerate, go for it. But just make sure half of your plate is fiber. Let's start with that.
I
So I
love
always love to add things, not to remove things.
add things. Don't remove things.
Mhm.
And would you say that childhood experiences and family messages and our surroundings can affect what we do with food and how we do our diet?
It's not only affects what we do with food, it affects so many areas of our life because in my situation, it became through my body and food, and it became the language that I used, or instrument, or part of the language that I used towards myself. I always say I have beautiful yellow lab, 9-year old, and I always say if I treated my dog the same way I treated my body, I would be arrested by animal care control. So that language became that we inherit directly or indirectly. Sometimes it could be, I'll give you scenario. That was not my scenario because I had both direct and indirect impact. But sometimes a mother who is so harsh with herself every time she looks in the mirror and she criticizes herself, and then she's constantly talking about, let's say they come from a beautiful dinner and she talks about how could I do that, how could I eat that dessert, beating herself up. She doesn't say anything to her daughter, not even, no need to say anything, because our kids do not what we tell them to do, what they see us doing. You know that you have 3 daughters, right? Three kids.
Three kids, two sons and a daughter.
Oh,
Yes.
okay, okay. Because I saw your beautiful picture with 3 women, 3 girls, and I thought
Oh,
you have three. Okay. So, yeah, I have one son, and I am very careful about what I say about my body or about my food because they observe everything.
they do. They
Yeah.
do. They
And that
observe.
becomes a language that they not only talk to themselves, but they also tolerate. I say it becomes a blueprint for other relationships in their life. When they ignore their needs, when they ignore their desires, like, I want that, but no, I cannot have that. You probably, saw people who go to a restaurant and they look at the menu and they see beautiful steak, but they say, no, I cannot have steak. I need to order something lean. No, maybe at that moment your body needs that piece of steak and you basically ignore your desires. You override your wishes, your desires, something that your body wants, right? So that will translate into other areas of your life. You say yes to things that you don't want to happen. You say yes to work that you don't want to do.
Yeah.
because you started on that basal level. I always like, I even show this pyramid. It's actually kids' pyramid. But it represents the hierarchy of needs by Abraham Maslow, where, this is our self-actualization. This is our basal need. And basically, as we go through different levels, when we satisfy them, we go up. We satisfy them, we go up. So the second level is our safety. The first one is our food. The second one is our safety. The third one is our relationships. And as we satisfy one level, we go higher. We go higher. We cannot think about self-actualizations when we're hungry. But yes, but when we lose touch with ourselves, our body is our messenger because our soul does not have a word to say. It is translated through our body. So when we lose connection with ourselves on this level, then we do not feel what is dangerous. We do
Oh,
not feel we do not feel who is the right person to us because we do not hear those signals. Our bodies stop talking to us. Then it is self-respect and purpose, and we completely disconnected with ourselves on this level. So we try to go higher because that's the goal of our lives, to become who we are, what's the purpose, right? But we're sliding down on that basic level.
is there a step we can take to open up that connection to ourselves and
Yes,
become
yes,
more aware? What is
yes,
it we can do?
yes. By breadcrumbs, by reestablishing trust with your body, by small steps that I put the reader through each chapter, and each chapter is 1 week of my book.
Oh, I love it. I love it. That is so fantastic. And something you mentioned in the book, you mentioned the diet prison.
Yes,
Tell us about that.
it's basically, for me, I felt it like a prison, and it's something that I kept myself. I was basically a prisoner, a guard, a warden, and someone who grant permission. So basically, every time I gave myself a little bit of freedom, then the warden came and put me back into the prison. Like, you have to, tomorrow, your diet has to be even stricter because you allowed yourself today that piece of chocolate. So I basically, or sometimes I tell people, because they're like, prison, but I'm like, yeah, just imagine you are in straight jacket and you continue buttoning it up every morning or tying it up every morning yourself. And your worst is linked. The most tragic part of that, being in that diet prison, is you connect your worth with the number on the scale, with how strict you follow your diet, with how fast and how long you can endure or you can exert, like, exercise while malnourishing your body, and you praise yourself for that. That's the worst thing. That's very inhumane, unkind. And, when you are in that prison, you do not see what you are doing.
Yeah.
That's why I invite readers to step out of it a little bit. And I talk a lot about how detrimental, you know, there is a Minnesota starvation study that was performed in 1944. In fact, I proposed it to World War II Museum in New Orleans, and they're going to bring it as a part of the exhibition. That study, first of all, every time I talk about this study, it makes me just like, goosebumps, like, cover my skin. So 36 healthy males, pacifists, who said, we will not bear arms, but we will help as much as we can. They volunteered to go and mimic, the same food restrictions that people in Europe underwent in concentration camps.
Oh my God.
Yes. And they did it to figure out what would be most effective way to recover after those horrific experiences. So for some period of time, they were on 25% reduction. It's not even what I put myself on, because I put myself at some points of my life, I put myself on 1,000 calories a day. 1,000. It's tiny. It's not even what my metabolic rate when I'm at rest. So after some period of time, they developed apathy to life, obsession about food. And the thing is, there was a purpose, there was a meaning behind that experiment, but it affected their mental health, it affected their physical health, their metabolism slowed down. They physically they became weaker, and with some of them, they were interviewed when they were already in their 80s. So it was just one time experiment. They volunteered, they knew they did not do it. They did it for higher purpose, right?
Wow.
So at the age of 80 something in 2003, they were interviewed, and a lot of whoever was still alive, they said that they had problems with food the rest of their lives.
Oh, Regina, we have about 1 minute left in the show. That's amazing they did that study. What last message do you want to share? And please share your website with everyone.
Absolutely. And the message everybody wants, I want everybody to remind themselves that we don't have to be fixed. We are not broken. We are wonderfully, fearfully made. We just have to learn the language to treat ourselves with kindness, with love, with respect, with empathy. And that's what my book is all about. My website is www.reginaoswald.com, and I also share very honestly everything that I do in my life on my Instagram, Regina Oswald Official.
Oh, you are so amazing and such a gift to all of us. I am just so grateful to have you on the show, Regina. Oh my gosh, just beautiful messages,
Thank you
dear.
so much. Yeah, there are
Oh,
so many messages throughout the book that
yes,
readers found very compassionate, very loving way
yep.
to directing them in that new path and
Liberation
enjoyable
out
steps.
of prison. I love it. Everyone out there, thank you for joining us. Love, hugs, and blessings, Regina. Love, hugs, and blessings.
Thank you